All right, brother. We're talking about moving around, being a little bit nomadic. Why do you think people have such an aversion to do that?
Wow. Yeah, good question, actually. And that's one I ask myself constantly. How did I go from, living in the same place for 45 odd years to then living everywhere, not being anywhere longer than about 8 months, over the last several years. So, yeah, it's an interesting question. I think it's it depends on the person a lot, the personality, also the time of life. Some people I know were really nomadic at the start of their lives, like my older brother, for example. Start of his life, late teens, 20s, 30s, everywhere. Southeast Asia, Australia, Europe. He went and lived in all different places, and now settled down with a house, one place. That's it.
Mm,
So maybe it changes through people's lives as well. For me, I just love different cultures, different languages, different food, different people, different scenery. I just think there's so much to learn from what's out there in the world, and I'm going to run out of life before I know half the things I want to know. So it's like, why wait another moment to go and explore, to see, to know, and not just know other places, but know other cultures, other people. And the more you see of this, the more you learn. Yeah, there's differences, but we're all like, I don't know, there's more of a connection with people, and then you start to see things like, okay, these people that speak a completely different language have a different way of doing things. They just want to raise their kids. They want to enjoy their time off when they're not working, doing the hobbies and activities they love. They want to be with their friends and go out and party and do whatever in the weekends. They have the same experience as you. There's some cultural differences, but everyone basically just wants to live a really good life, be happy, and enjoy what they're doing with their time. And I think when you start to see that, you start to realize the world isn't so disconnected, it isn't so polarized. It's a lot more friendly and welcoming than what we're led to believe in the media. So I think getting out and seeing the world really opens your eyes to what it is to be human.
mm. Yeah, the media is such a big contradiction, right? Like, media technology, social media, phones, whatever you want to say, like the internet, the birth of the internet, it's supposed to connect us all together, bring us all together. Communication's faster. We don't have to send letters anymore. We can FaceTime and ring somebody. Just pick up the bloody telephone. It's fantastic, but it seems like folks have become a little bit more wary of each other. And like you said, like it's pulled us apart of no, we can't go there because they're bad or evil or whatever. It was like,
Yeah,
what? So every person in that country is a bad person? Are you crazy? That's gonna be
yeah.
like it's pretty improbable. Like that's hard to hit.
It is. And look, I'm not naive. Okay, I'm a Kiwi. I'm a New Zealander. We are a little bit, we trust and believe everyone. It sort of comes comes with being raised in the 1970s and 80s in New Zealand. You know, I've seen, the good and the bad. I've been, robbed before and those kinds of things. It's like, yeah, I understand these things happen. It's not like, I think everyone is wonderful and the world's just this amazing place. Yeah, there's elements out there that are very dangerous and can cause you troubles. But
Mm.
it's never stopped me going to running places, different countries in the Middle East. And I remember going to one, and I was running in the desert, and it was near a border of another country that was having some problems. And I remember one of my sponsors at the time, who was a US based sponsor, sent me a message and said, "I really don't think you should be doing this. You're probably going to get kidnapped and this and this and this because I saw this on the news and I saw." And it's like, you're there and everyone's just normal people living their life,
Mm.
doing their thing. There's only a few that cause an issue. So I think, yeah, don't believe so much what you see out there in social media, on the news. Go and experience it for yourself. Obviously, educate yourself, be careful, etc.
Yeah.
I'm not saying go into it like just blindly and I'll be, this is the Kiwi attitude of, oh, she'll be right, I'll just sort of wing it. No, that you have to be a little bit smarter than that.
Mm.
However, in general, I find most people, most places to be exceptionally welcoming, warm, friendly, and they'll really do anything they can to help you.
Mm. Yeah, obviously don't go walking in with like a bum bag or your phone in your back pocket. You know what I mean? Like it's just a walking
Yeah,
target. Like I'm tempted to pickpocket you, never mind anybody else. You know, it's just like you
exactly.
got to learn the lesson somehow. But yeah, I think the people they're so similar, and yet there's that little twist of culture that they have. Those little nuances are like, yeah, they eat different foods, they communicate in a different language. We communicate body language slightly different. What is acceptable is slightly different. And I was like, the Middle
Of
East is
course,
a
yeah,
is a place that really fascinates me, man. Because bit of a history
for sure.
geek, and it was the middle and basically sticking all that together of the West and the East and the cultural hub of the world. Let's call it, which it more than likely was. And you're like, how did it get from there to here, and how has that affected people? How is the
Yeah,
evolution of society of people just like walking the streets together? What is that like? Going to the oldest like running market in Turkey, for example, or going where the hanging gardens of Babylon should have been, and like the library of Alexandria where it got burnt down. Stuff like that. It's like,
exactly.
well,
Yeah, I mean,
how has
you're right.
people
There's so much
progressed?
history. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I just lost the thing for a second,
Mate,
the
it's all
feed,
good,
so
man.
I've caught up again. So yeah, sorry about the interruption. I caught the end of your sentence there. Yeah, it's true. And I think it's. I mean, I coach clients as well from various countries, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, etc. And these guys, they're just normal people doing normal things. I really don't see them as anyone different. We all have the same hopes. We all want to achieve similar things, do well in our chosen endeavors. So I really don't get the. I don't know. Maybe it's been raised in New Zealand. I was sort of a relatively normal middle classish, I guess, area, and everyone played together, and no one really. I don't know. I didn't really experience um, differences.
Mm.
Like it was just everyone was kind of the same. I think my parents actually, they're both originally from the UK, left the UK because of the class structure.
Yeah.
Because my father went to a public school, which is, of course, is a private school in London. He learned Latin and all this kind of stuff, and he married my mother, who went to a state school, still went to, and then went on to university to study. And I think they were like slightly different classes, and it wasn't, like so acceptable. So they moved out to New Zealand where everyone was the same, whether you're a lawyer, a doctor, um, the guy, cleaning the street. You all can go down to the pub and you drink in the same bar, and it's. I think that was kind of the vibe that they wanted
Mm.
when they came to New Zealand for a visit they saw. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really see. I mean, we all, we notice the differences, but I don't really think people are that different. Yeah,
Mm.
like you said, bar social and societal nuances from each country. But I mean, living in South America, yeah, there's social differences. However, it's a muchness. People are still people. You get down to the core of it, they still have hopes, fears. They still get upset. They still get happy about similar things. So yeah, I don't really. I think if we look more for the things that we have in common, than we look for the differences, we get on a lot better, and things will
Mm.
be a lot easier.
Yeah, it's like we're hardwired to go down the fear base, right? It's all about survival
Yeah,
at the end of the day, and it's like, okay, well, what could this individual do? Where's the weapon in the room? Like we've all had those thoughts, and no problem about it. But I think that's where it's really important for us to keep ourselves tip top, whether that's physical, mental, or somewhere that synergy between the two, right? Because like if we're in a good spot, we're not going to be thinking about that straight away. You know, if you're running off
Exactly.
4 or 5 hours of sleep, you're miserable, you know, you fucking hate your job, like you're not in a good relationship, or maybe you're lonely as hell. Like, yeah, like you're not gonna have good conversations with yourself. They're not gonna be healthy conversations. It's not gonna happen. I was like, we gotta go see the sun. We gotta get out. We gotta move around. We've got to like, oh, okay, yeah, good job. Like, I'm kind of proud of you. You got to the gym. You went for like a run. It was round the block, granted. But like, fuck, you got out and did something. Tomorrow, let's go a little bit more and be like, okay, actually, we can start this positive momentum, right? And I think that's where we start the initiation of the eradication of prejudice, right? Rather than just like,
Sure.
oh, those cunts over there. You're like, dude, like we got to sort ourselves out first. And I was like, how do we change the world? We change ourselves. You know,
Yeah,
we
for
live in the
sure.
reality we perceive, and we got to be able to change that sometimes. And but I have a question.
Yeah, for sure. Shoot, man.
What are you trying to find?
What am I trying to find? Wow. Um, well, it's not searching for myself because that's something I think I spent a lot of time in my youth doing, trying
Yeah.
to find where I was meant to fit in. And now in my 40s and 50s, I've found that I don't have to fit in. I just have to be doing the things I really enjoy and I love. And some people don't like that. I mean, changing from what I was to what I am now, and it's a constantly evolving process. You're gonna make friends and you're gonna lose friends, and that is actually part of the process. So yeah, what am I searching for? What am I looking for? Really, I don't even want to say like I'm not looking for happiness. I'm not looking for peace. I'm just enjoying the passage, moving through the passage of time, doing what I'm doing. Like that's really all there is. Like I don't have tomorrow. I don't have yesterday. I'm just here today. I
Mm.
mean, I'm chatting to you. You're in New Zealand at the moment. I was originally from New Zealand. We're having a conversation about different aspects of life and the world. Tomorrow, I could be on a plane to a race or an event that I hadn't planned on. I just really just enjoy what I'm doing today. That's really all I'm searching for. I'm not even searching for. I'm just I've learned to be more present with
Mm.
what I'm doing. Oh, still there?
Still here.
There we go. Yeah, just lost you.
Who'd have known
um,
having a conversation miles apart was so difficult?
yeah, exactly.
Mate, it's all good, man.
So
It can jump as much as it wants.
exactly. So yeah, I think that I think personally, it's yeah, it's like all the things that I used to think when I used to think when I was younger or believe when I get enough money and enough, the house is paid and I have X amount of properties and I have these cars, then I'm going to be happy. And I got to that point and I was more unhappy than I was in the process of striving to get them. So one lesson life has taught me is that it's in the process of striving of attempting to try something to achieve something that we really find the joy, we really find the happiness when we get the thing. For instance, maybe we win a race, maybe we hit a target, maybe it's in the gym or on the track or in an event or in business. I speak to so many people and they say, yeah, once I achieved that, it was amazing for about 5 minutes, maybe 6 hours, 24 hours. And then it's like, okay, what now? And I see it so much. So I think really the joy and the happiness and the fulfillment comes in the striving. So I think when you stop striving, when you stop trying, when you stop wanting to achieve or learn or grow, that's when you start to strike problems. That's when I think people start searching for something more rather than just saying, how about I immerse myself in this process, in this moment, and really enjoy what is happening. I mean, when I make coffee in the morning, every morning, I love the smell. I love the process of making coffee and then the smell. And I'm like, wow, if that was the last day of my life, one of the things I would do would be to make fresh coffee because I just really enjoy it. It's meditative. That is the purpose. That's what I'm searching for. What I have. It's not even looking for it. It's like the simple things every day done well. That's what makes a life.
I think that's really, really beautiful and a physical representation of what poetry is. We're trying to describe those feelings with just the medium of words right there. Like that's what you live in. And I quite often think about people who are goal orientated, right? And I completely agree with you. And to be honest, I'm one of those folks that 5 minutes later, I'm like, yeah, so what? Like, because there's
Yeah,
always another goal, right? Like, if you're striving towards it, you're having fun, even if it's kicking your ass and it's annoying you. You are having fun. We're a little bit sadistic in that sense. And then
exactly.
maybe, I don't know, a couple of years down the line, 20 years down the line, when you're sharing a beer and a story, and you think back and you're like, oh yeah, I did that. Again, that it's fun then because you've done it and it's now a story. And yeah, Chinese whispers comes involved, and maybe it's slightly changed, and you ran 400 miles rather than 300 or whatever it is, right? And you just have that story and everybody's having a good time. So again, it's cool, but we're missing out that vital part. We're missing out on that life rate of right now. And
Exactly.
I think we're always wired to think like that. It's like,
Yeah.
next year in school you'll do your options. In 6 months' time, you're doing a exam. When you get to uni, when you get to, I don't know, your career, quote unquote. That word kind of does my head in. Career. What is that supposed to mean?
Yeah.
Like, what, you're supposed to do one thing for the rest of your life and be stagnant? That sounds like death to me,
Exactly.
mate.
For sure, man. For sure.
It
And
sounds like a shit time.
it's not relevant, is it, these days?
Yeah.
I think back to, my parents. The career was, yeah, 20, 30, 40 years in the same industry or the same job a lot of the time. So it's now that just, doesn't make any sense. The world's
Yeah.
changing. So, I mean, the jobs we have and careers we have today, what are they going to look like in 40 years' time? Like, it's just going to be brand new ones. I mean, I hopped on Instagram, several years ago, just mucked around for a few years, and then it sort of picked up and grew, and it's then allowed me to get sponsors and travel the world, run these incredible races, do all these amazing things, and that didn't exist. 20 years ago, it wasn't there, not in the form it is now. So what's the next 20 years going to look like? You know,
Mm.
so yeah, I mean, I don't know this whole thing of and I studied and I did that whole thing, the school. Then I went on and studied engineering and did all that, and then one day you wake up and say, yeah, okay, what's next? It's like,
What's
do I
next?
just hit repeat for the next 20, 30 years? Maybe change jobs and positions and get a different company car, but wow, like doesn't get me excited and jumping out of bed in the morning.
Mm.
So yeah, for sure. I think we're, as humans, like what comes back to that point you just made. As humans, evolutionary, we're designed. I think why we're not satisfied with things is we're designed to always seek out things, probably for survival. Like find where the next food is coming from, find the next animal to hunt and kill or whatever our ancestors did, find shelter for the night. So we're always like seeking and striving to just for survival. So maybe there's something built into us that sort of is driving us towards always seeking um, some survival instinct that's driving us to always seeking something more than what we have. And to
Yeah.
be honest, we have so much now, don't we? I mean, I think our problem is in society is we're too comfortable. I think we're in a, I think there's a book, isn't it, called The Comfort Crisis or something like similar. And I think this is a problem. I think we're super comfortable with everything we have when we can We can order food on a phone. You know, this thing here, we can order everything on it, do everything on it. Well, not everything, most things, and we don't have to move from where we are. And I think we've lost. I think this is why travel and seeing the world is so important, and being physically active as well and mentally active is sometimes you just gotta be freaking uncomfortable and be in a situation where you know, I've been in countries where I didn't understand the language. I've had guns pointed at me, and it's like, yeah, okay, I'm not saying everyone should go and do that because it's not necessarily going to end well in all cases. However, you start to develop a sense of, okay, you know, there's no one's going to save me. I can't just push a button on the phone. I can't block the person in front of me. I can't, you know, ignore the conversation. I have to deal with this. So what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And I think this is what we've lost a lot of in life. I think it's good to be uncomfortable, to put yourself in situations that are challenging. And like I said, you don't have to go to the extreme, but certainly, you know, a lot of people now, there's you know, social anxiety issues and meeting people and talking to people, and I think we've spent so much time on these things that we don't interact with people in a
Mm.
real world setting. And I think that's really important. I think humans need connection. Anyway, off topic a bit, but
No, dude,
yeah,
you say what you want to say, man. And I completely
yeah.
agree with you. Like I really
I
do.
mean,
And I
what do
think
you find? Yeah, what do you find in your adventures and travels?
people are more similar than they are different.
Yeah,
Um, like I've had the absolute honor and privilege of coaching from like age of 5 all the way up to 80s, right?
that's
And
cool, man.
you see the difference, and you definitely see the difference of folks as you stay in this kind of fitness realm of, you know, helping people through it. The conversation and the communication within human beings is getting less and less, and people are
Yeah,
picking up on social cues less and less.
yeah,
And I think to add on to your point, I think it's because the internet feels like it's got no consequence. I was like, I
yeah,
can fire out whatever the fuck I want on the internet and nothing happens. Hey,
yeah, for
listen,
sure.
like if we're on the street and I start effing and jeffing at you, like you're gonna knock the two front teeth out of me, and I'm probably not gonna do that
Exactly.
again. Like, I know
Yeah, for sure.
it sounds barbaric, right? And it's like, well, rough punishment isn't always the answer. And I was like, I agree, but
Yeah,
the threat of it kind of teaches
exactly.
people, and the lesson is what we should be focusing on. And
Yeah,
you know, it's people figure it out, people learn. Like we're weird creatures, we're really irrational, strange creatures. And now you're trying to put cities with tens of millions of people together. That's going to be a really like clusterfuck in the brain. I was like, yeah, we need
it is.
consequence. Like we need to be able to fail, you know, like I put my hand on a hot kettle. Ah, that hurts. Yeah, I'll
Yeah, for
probably
sure.
don't do that again, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and I
Oh,
think
for sure, dude.
socially we have to be able to do the same thing. And you know, people just learn online. It's difficult, man. You know, we now go into classrooms and it's like, oh yeah, watch this video. And it's like, well, you're not getting any feedback from the person in the video because the person in the video is frigging recorded. If you communicate to
Yeah,
them, it's not going to change them. You know,
exactly.
at least with a teacher, you're like, if they say something, oh, okay, cool, we can stop the lesson, we can change, we can adapt. Same with adults, right? Like you take a class, you talk to them via Zoom or whatever. Like you could have an entire plan and then it needs to change. It's like good. That's what we need. We're
Yeah,
playing this organic game of chess, man. That's what fucking people are.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's the nuances in human communication and the differences that we miss on phones and computers. The and like you said, the things people say online, like I mean, the number of messages I get and people saying this and that, and you should do
Mm.
this and you should do that, and some you know, obviously more critical or direct and blunt than others. And you know, obviously, you don't take it seriously. You develop a pretty thick skin when you've been doing this a while, and you're just like, you know. Actually, I'd really love to just put a short book together of some of the greats of the things I've received, and just as it's fun, you know, more than anything, you have to laugh at it. However, yeah, it's like back when I was growing up, school in the 70s and 80s, when you had a problem with someone, you had a fight. That's what happened. And people got, I punched, a guy's front teeth out once and got in a lot of trouble for it. The consequence for me was I got the strap. I got
Yeah.
strapped across the hand by the teacher.
Yeah.
Um, and, so like, those, I mean, I guess that was his different era. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but I understand like this was how I grew up, and probably a lot of people that have grown up in less than ideal circumstances in various socioeconomic circumstances that may have been challenging, or family circumstances. They've had to deal with a lot of these situations on the coalface, and they can relate to it. But I certainly think, yeah, it's why whenever I get on the phone, even if I disagree with what someone is saying or has posted, how is it my business to even say anything or do anything? It's not important, and what difference will it make anyway?
Mm.
I think the real importance is how do you act, how do you live your life, how do you do the things you do each day, because those are the things we should be focusing on, not what this dude's doing or this woman's doing. And even if some of the stuff is pretty crazy, but I see most of the accounts now, there's a lot of accounts that they just they just basically blue screen in the back, or the screen in the green screen, and they're like showing someone else, and they're criticizing their method. And yes, there's some cases where people need to be called out. Some of these, like I don't know, tomato only diet fads, or don't eat this because it's gonna, I don't know, whatever. Some of the stuff's crazy, but come on, people, like, we have so much information. I think most of us have got enough common sense to look at something and go, yeah, that's kind of not real. But I don't know. I mean,
You would hope
you
so.
know, um, yeah, you'd hope so. I mean, I know, younger people can be sort of like swayed by a lot of this stuff, and some people can be convincing. And everything's, it can be objective and subjective as well. And you can look at things and say, yeah, that might work, but it's not really the way I do things. And that's okay too. We can all agree to disagree. But to like get into these little internet spats and things, I don't know. It's no time for it, man. There's a big world out there to go and see and explore and live. So, yeah.
And honestly, man, like the best thing I've ever done when you get pissed off at something, whether you've been dealing with whatever you're going on in your life, it doesn't matter. And you really want to give someone the absolute bee's knees. You just want to go to town on. You're like, just go work out, mate. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly. Yeah.
go on the treadmill, go in the pool, lift some weights, do some yoga, whatever the fuck you like to do, go work out, and then attack it again when you come back or tomorrow. And I bet you can actually construct a sentence which is pretty good. You usually meet them halfway, they de-escalate, and everything is bloody a-okay. The worst thing you can do is
Yeah.
start clenching that fist and throwing punches, which
Oh,
unfortunately
for sure.
is something I should have learned a long time ago. But hey.
Yeah, you're speaking from experience. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, guys,
Yeah.
don't need it. Yeah, you end up
Don't
in
worry.
a good spot.
With age and experience, you've learned yourself. You start to yeah, say, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll give it a few seconds thought. But yeah.
Yeah, maybe we gotta try something else here, guys.
Exactly.
Brother, I
But
got
I think it's also part of being, like you said, mentioned before, sometimes the threat of it. So I think being fit, being strong, being healthy, and being able to take care of yourself to a certain degree is an important part of
yeah,
being human too. I think we don't want to lose that. We want to turn the other cheek. We want to, not cause issues. But I think when it comes down to it, we also want to be able to stand on our own 2 feet and say, okay, I'm in this situation. The solution is I have to do something. Yeah. So there's, I think, you learn better how to pick the moments when to run and back down, and just, it's not important, and when to stand up and you've got to do something.
what's that whole thing of I think it was Jordan Peterson actually who said uh you should have a beast inside you under voluntary control or
Yeah,
something along those lines.
yeah, along
And
those lines. Yeah,
I agree, mate. Like wholeheartedly. I think it
yeah,
can go into work. I think it can go into relationships. I think it can go into just sport, you know, and it can go
agreed.
into like life or death. Unfortunately, like that's what we play with. Like yes, like the usually the better you are, like at fighting or at your job, like the more kind of understanding of others that you become. You know, if you're
Yeah,
the absolute creme de la creme in whatever job that you do as a 9 to 5, usually you help out the intern and the janitor a lot more. You know, if you're just
exactly.
entry level, you come in like swinging coconuts, thinking you're Billy Big Bollocks on the block. You know, it's like, okay, lad, like simmer down. Like,
For
you know,
sure.
you've been here 2 weeks.
Settle down, settle down.
You know, if you get
Yeah,
better, usually like, yeah, okay, let's get better together. Let's learn from each other. It's a funny one. People are weird,
exactly.
man.
They are. And that something I've noticed myself, it's not the loud people that concern me. It's the quiet people that sit in the corner and just quietly observe things. Those are the ones you should be worried about. Those are the ones that know what they're doing. They usually know how to handle themselves. They know what's going on. They've read the room. The ones that are loud and in your face and all this, usually, yeah, it's just a lot of noise.
Mm.
But yeah, such is life.
Such is life, my friend. I got a question. A last question.
Yes.
If you could ask Mother Nature one thing, what would it be?
Oh, I don't think I'd even ask. I'd just say thank you. Like,
Mm.
just wow, being a trail runner, it's like coming home, going to the mountains, going to it's just it's the place where I fit, I guess. And yeah, I wouldn't even, I mean, what would I ask? I think, Mother Nature, the universe, everything is designed in a way to work, and it works in harmony. All these different ecosystems working with each other. So yeah, I'm just grateful that I get to spend this short period of time in my life doing the things that I love to do outside, outdoors. Like man, it's just a blessing.
Mm.
Running in the desert at sunrise, seeing the sun come up, you know, so many different shades of red, orange, the shadows over the dunes. It's like the sky's on fire sometimes in the desert when the sun comes up. Running in the European Alps when the sun's going down, the snow-capped peaks, the rocks, all the shadows, the shapes, the just the feeling in the air when you change in altitude, it becomes cooler, it becomes denser, I don't know, or thinner. The thickness you feel in a pine forest in Europe when you're running through it. Just all these experiences. Um, I don't know. It's just gratitude, I think, will be the
Mm.
word. Gratitude for being in this amazing planet, Mother Nature providing us with everything we need, really. And that's really all I feel. I don't have any questions because I think everything is pretty much designed the way it is, and it's perfect. Probably the only question, if I could think of one, is what can we do better?
Mm.
What can we do better? Or what can I do better? And wow, that will be I mean, I think a lot of people are already trying to answer that question in various ways to help protect what we have. But yeah, I'm just really grateful for all that. So yeah, maybe that would be the question. What can I and we as a human race do better?
Brother, thank you so much, man. This has been an honor and a privilege.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
brother. Appreciate your time, man. You get out in the mountains, running
I
around,
certainly I
and,
certainly will.
and let
At
the
the beach
mind,
for a few weeks now.
fuck yeah, and the beach, and let the mind goes where it wants. You know. Appreciate your time, man. It's been awesome. We'll talk soon.
For sure, dude.
Thank you,
Cheers.
brother. See you later, everybody.